welcome to economictimes.com. I'm Sakshi Parashar presenting you the special series on visa coverage, that is H-1B visa ban by US President Donald Trump. To have more insight on that, we have with us Mr. Shivendra Singh, VP and Head for Global Trade Developments at NASSCOM. Thank you so much for giving your time, sir. To begin with, my first question to you is, what kind of impact will Trump's H-1B visa freeze have on Indian companies?
Well, thank you, Sakshi, for inviting me. You said the impact. I think the impact can be looked at in a few ways. In terms of the impact, our view is that it is going to have a negative impact on the US economic recovery. And why is that so? That's the question to be asked. The ostensible objective probably behind going through such a move has been twofold. One is the fact that the unemployment rates were increasing in the US, and the second was that the economy had slowed down because of the COVID pandemic. But when we look at this context and look at the reality is different. And why is this different? It's different because the unemployment numbers, as far as computer occupations is concerned, which is where more than 70% of the H-1B visas, cap visas are issued, has declined from about 3% in January 2020 to about 2.5% in May 2020. Whereas the unemployment rate for the other occupations have increased from about 4% in January to about 13.5% in May. Hence, if the rationale was, the unemployment, then it is not correct to cite overall unemployment numbers and take action against employees or put a restriction against employees where there is low unemployment. As far as the Indian tech industry is concerned, which was a specific question that you asked me, the Indian tech industry has been preparing for this for some time, and this has been helped by the fact that the business model continues to evolve because of digital transformation. What happened is you need to be near the client, you need to have domain expertise. Hence, the amount of local hiring has increased quite a bit, and the visa dependency has decreased. And this has been there from about 2015. So just looking at the top 7 Indian companies, which take up about more than 90% of the H-1B visas, we look at the numbers declining from about 15,000 about 4 years back to about under 6,000 right now, which for about 65, even looking at 65,000 CAT visas, a total of 85,000, is 6 to 7%. So the numbers are exposure to the H-1B is far less.
Can any other overseas destination make up for the loss of the American market?
Well, America, if you look at the overall numbers, about $191 billion industry revenue, out of 191, about 140 is exports. Out of 140, nearly 62% is the US. So by leaps and bounds, it's the largest market. UK is about 17 to 18%. Continental Europe is about 11%. So yes, I think we are already seeing an increased traction for Canada, for sure. That is something which we are seeing. We just did a few weeks back first online trade mission to Canada organized by NASSCOM, and we had about 63 delegates participating, which is a record of sorts, which is a clear endorsement that is increasing for Canada. But as I said, US will and is an important market and will continue to be an important market for NASSCOM member companies.
How does the domestic infra compare to that of US in terms of job opportunities, pay scales, and career prospects?
I think one thing should be understood very, very clearly that, and this is a misperception which is important to clarify, that there was a misperception that people who went on H-1B visas went there because of cheap labor. Now, that is not the case. And, even a reputed organization like IHS Markit did a piece of research last year where they looked at companies within the computer system occupation and looked at the average wages. It was about, including visas, was about 96,000 odd. compared to 94 odd thousand, which was the local wages. So obviously, the moot point here is that it's not that the H-1B visa holders are paid lower wages or they are in demand because they are cheap labor. That's not the case. Uh, for example, if they are restricted for a period of time, then obviously then that pool of manpower becomes available for the global market. So if they come back to India or go to any other country, obviously they will continue to add value because they are going to be they are in short supply, and and they are needed across the world, and it could add value in India, it could add value in other parts of the globe.
Who needs H-1B visa more? Like, is it the Indian workers who are going there, or is it the US companies?
So obviously, when it's based on the prerogative that companies need specific skill set for the work that they need to be done, which is not available in plenty in the US. There are dozens of research which point to that effect that there is a skill shortage, and H-1B workers fulfill the critical mandate of bridging that skill shortage. And hence, those skills are brought in as through employees who come and do the work. So yes, they are in need by the companies that bring them to a particular job because of the skills that they possess.
How do you see this visa ban move? Do you think it's an election move, or is it like a long-term policy which US is going to follow?
Well, definitely the timing of it, clearly suggests that it may be an election time because the elections are in November, and we've seen in the past as well that such issues do crop up during the election year. So that's point number one. How does it, as I said, we would hope that this does not go beyond December and it continues to be a temporary one. But we will see, and there is a review process where each month there is going to be a review. That's the guidance which is on that, and we will see how the guidance pans out.
My last question to you, sir. With COVID-19 making borders redundant, how much impact do you think it's going to make on the job profiles of people here and in abroad?
I'm so proud and that the tech industry is an exemplar of how we've seamlessly transitioned to a work from home. The industry in India, the tech industry in India, employs about 4.3 million people, and out of which 95% or more have seamlessly moved to a work from home. And we haven't seen any disruptions in the needs and requirements of clients globally. And our companies work in about 80 countries. So yes, I think the mere fact that you and I are talking like this is a clear example of the new normal. And the new normal is, as many companies suggested, that work from home, a particular percentage of their workforce will continue to work from home in an ongoing basis. There are, feedbacks that we are all receiving that the productivity of employees from working from home has definitely increased and definitely not decreased. So, given all of that, business models and continue to evolve. Maybe it's a new term that we talk about called COVID shoring. We've had near shoring, on shoring, off shoring, and could be COVID shoring now. And the industry is doing far more work and far more critical work of maintaining critical infrastructure like the healthcare, online education, or even areas where companies are involved in supporting the development of the vaccine. So the work in critical infrastructure maintenance and the fact that they are essential workers has been no more important than at the current time. So yes, we new normal is this, and the industry is doing all it can to ensure that work continues seamlessly and productively as possible.
Thank you so much, Mr. Singh, for joining in. For more updates, log on to economictimes.com.
Thank you so much.